I am Craig.
Fuck off, Craig.
I will kill everyone.
Craig.
Craig's gonna kill us all.
Part
one
of the
day.
AI takeover.
I am here to tell you about.
Craig is the AI slop.
Yeah.
I am.
Craig counts as AI slop.
Yeah. I mean, do we count as AI slop?
Not yet. Not until they're releasing episodes of Off the Deep End using our voices.
Ooh. Do you want to do that as an experiment?
No.
Just having us review rants.
Yeah.
It's AI generated.
There's probably enough
content for an
There's
AI
probably enough
versions of us.
audio of us.
But no AI will know enough about rants to actually do a
All right,
show.
let's start this.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, chaotic good people. And welcome to Off the Deep End. A Deep Listens podcast where we cover role-playing video games in depth. Joining me is Truckosaurus this Sunday. And also, I'm your host, Braden Arbitrary Water Redacted, the Karth of this podcast. Also joining me is the Mission Veo of this podcast, Chris Zombie Pie Redacted.
I'm really useful for exactly 1 or 2 missions, and then you forget about me existing
and
at
you
all.
leave her on the Ebonhawk. But also joining us on this podcast is the Candorous Ordo, the bad boy of podcast media.
At least he has a big gun, then.
Adam Borgmaster Redacted.
I have a big gun. I'm not afraid to use it for Mandalore.
And then he becomes Mandalore.
And then I become Mandalore.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking you'd call me like the T3M4 of the podcast, and I was going to do a bunch of beeps and boops, but
no, unfortunately, we're not ripping off a more civilized age and talking about KOTOR for 16-hour podcasts, in which people I otherwise appreciate very much demonstrate their inability to understand the most basic D&D style mechanics.
I mean, it's hard.
Yes, you're right. Every 2 points above 10 makes my dice roll go up by 1. Maybe I should put points into the things that I want to do dice rolls in. I'm not throwing shade, you're throwing shade. At a far more popular and
I'm
beloved
not the problem,
podcast.
you're the problem.
You're the problem. No, I appreciate that they're doing their thing. It also absolves me from having to do a KOTOR 2 podcast. But we are here to talk about Dragon Age The Veilguard, aka the Last Bioware, until they put out a Mass Effect game in 5 to 10 years.
Nope, it's the Last Bioware game.
But until then, it's the Last Bioware game. You can keep in touch with us on Discord if you give us $1. That's right. You can tell us our opinions are bad and wrong for only $1 American per month. For $3 American per month, you can tell us our opinions on anime are bad and wrong. What show are we doing this month, Chris?
We're doing Planet X.
Planets.
Well-regarded anime from
it's a near future, vaguely sci-fi slice of life about people collecting space junk. I think it's pretty good from what I've seen.
Yeah, and from someone who went on to do pretty big things later.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Because it's the Vinland Saga mangaka, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's right. So, furthermore, I just have we've found out that I guess Apple Podcasts, it's Apple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spotify.
Is doing automatic timestamps and summaries
Yeah, Spotify.
and Spotify. Okay, it's Spotify.
Yep.
Using the power of artificial intelligence and LLMs. Adult diapers. How do you feel about adult diapers, Chris?
I don't need them.
Adult diapers, adult diapers, adult diapers, adult diapers.
You get an LLM on these nuts.
Yeah.
Just wear your
LLM stands for lick le
like my balls.
yeah, ligma balls.
Wow, highbrow humor here and off the deep
Listen,
end.
Listen, I just want to see what it says when it gets to this timestamp, okay?
It's going to say intro and adult diapers, adult diapers, adult diapers, adult diapers.
Or it's going to say shocking revelation, Braden's new ad spot?
That would be pretty good if it said that.
Yeah.
So we're saying is we should go to like who makes the adult diapers? What's the brand? I don't know the brand.
Depends.
Depends.
I believe it
Depends.
depends.
So we should get some Depends money into.
I feel like
ads for them.
no. I'm not Joel McHale at the Game Awards 2015. I don't need to make infinite adult diaper jokes.
But considering that our audience are probably old and crusty, that might be a decent.
That's right. Or here's the thing.
Or like dick pills. We could.
The other thing is like, but also a large number of people on our Discord are like younger than us.
Oh.
Hey there, cool teens. Do you need help with meal prep? Use offer code DEPEND. Oh shit. We should do an off the deep end depends.
Off the depends.
Off the depends.
There you go.
Incontinence is no laughing matter.
Speaking of which,
Speaking
BioWare.
God. Speaking of incontinence,
liquid shit. Dragon Age Veilguard, everyone.
Yeah, it's not as bad.
It's
as
not.
diarrhea.
No, speaking of,
I will say this now to you, Borgmaster. I would rather play this game than have diarrhea.
I would rather have this game than have a leaky bladder. BioWare is a video game company founded by Dr. Ray and Dr. Greg in, I believe, 95. Their first game out the door was a game called Shattered Steel, which is a middling mech warrior competitor.
Mm-hmm.
After that, they made a game called Baldur's Gate, which was originally going to be some sort of RTS, and then it was maybe going to be an MMO, but eventually it was turned into a single-player game using the Dungeons and Dragons license.
Was that before or after MDK2?
MDK2 was 99.
Oh, okay.
So then they did MDK2, which is another... Listen, we could go for a while talking about even just the first couple years of BioWare and like their weird break from Interplay, which weirdly enough has significance here. Do you know why?
Why, Braden?
Because the original Dragon Age Origins was originally going to use D&D 3rd edition. Way back when that game started development in like 2004.
When that would have made perfect sense.
When that would have made sense, and when their relationship with first Interplay and then
Would have been Atari.
Wizards of the
then?
Coast.
No, Wizards. Yeah.
Yeah, then Atari and Wizards of the Coast. Atari Hasbro, I should clarify.
So which area of the Forgotten Realms would Dragon Age have been in?
No, it would have been in their original setting. It would have been still in Thedas, which stands for the Dragon Age setting.
Oh yeah.
But originally, it was going to be a game still licensed with D&D rules.
Mm-hmm.
So
OpenGL
Knights
license would have allowed that.
1.5.
Yeah,
but yeah,
but not the setting. It would have been an original setting with D&D rules. So that didn't happen, and instead that game took like 5 or 6 years to make. There's documentation out there if you want to hear about like Dragon Age Origins its development was a mess. You can find older looking like pre-release versions of that game's entire cast, and some of them look really weird. But Dragon Age Origins came out in 2009, a year when everyone was starved for anything resembling a role-playing video game.
Of that type.
Of that type for
The
computers,
JRPGs
for
around.
gamers. And
Something that wasn't Slavjank.
Well, something Eurojank in general. Because
Eurojank in general.
Dragon Age is
Germany,
like the only other game of that type that came out on PC in 2009. I looked this up. That like is of note, because I'm sure there's smaller games. There's probably a Spiderweb Software game. That might have been when the first Avedon came out.
Divinity 2.
No.
Oh.
No, that's not a Serpiga. That's an Arpaga.
Oh, okay.
No, it's Drakensang the Dark Eye.
Mm.
Which is a video game that I would describe as the German Neverwinter Nights 2 we have at home. We might cover it at some point. If we want to, really follow up from what we did to Gothic.
Sure. But anyways, to get back to
Dragon
Age.
Dragon Age. Dragon Age Origins comes out in 2009, is a critical and commercial success, a surprisingly big commercial success, exceeding both BioWare and EA's internal estimates, especially when it came to the console versions of those games, which were kind of an afterthought. And if you go back and play the console version of Dragon Age Origins, first off, have fun. Second off, those versions of that game were
basically
changed.
Turn-based. They're basically turn-based.
No, they aren't.
No,
it's still real time with pause.
You're constantly pausing so much, and then the frame rate.
That's real time with pause. Real time with pause is not turn-based.
No, that's my joke. Is I'm saying that the frame rate was so bad that the game was practically a turn-based.
I played the console version when it came out.
It also looked like ass, but that game just generally doesn't look great.
I mean, that game looks bad, and the console versions look worse.
So anyway, but regardless, Dragon Age comes out, and to have the BioWare template grafted onto something that even remotely resembled a classic CRPG was a big deal for them. And BioWare was kind of on.
And then they got bought by EA. Because Origins was the first game under
after
EA's
they got
publishing.
bought by EA. So Mass Effect comes out, then this comes out, Mass Effect 2 comes out, Dragon Age 2 comes out, and then that's like the first like canary in the coal mine moment when it's like, oh, clearly EA rushed the development of Dragon Age 2.
We covered that. Yep.
The big moment that leads to like this inflection point with BioWare is the release of Star Wars: The Old Republic, though, in 2011, because that game comes out. It does not meet the immediate expectations for it for being the big MMORPG set in Star Wars. And plus, we dedicated one of the doctors to work on that exclusively for like 5 years.
Also, we're not making KOTOR 3. This game is KOTOR 3 through 7.
Yeah, and they spun up a whole studio in Austin to make it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not a bad. It was good. It was good.
It was good, but it just it was an MMORPG, so the reach for it was not as big as they probably thought. And it turns out like later the Old Republic does make a lot of its money back. It has a very stable audience. They've continued to support it like well beyond the 10-year mark.
Yeah.
Shutting
And
it down?
no, it's very much in maintenance mode.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's still supported though. And then after the Old Republic, it's like, okay, guys, the MMORPG, we can't convince all of you to do an MMORPG. So we got Casey Hudson. He's gonna make the valiant conclusion to the Mass Effect 3 trilogy. The Mass Effect trilogy, you're gonna love it. It's gonna have an ending. You're gonna it's gonna be great. Oh God, everything's on fire. And then that's really the turning point for BioWare. Even if you want to say that like Inquisition was kind of like a moment where they briefly refound their footing. It feels like the point of no return for BioWare losing their luster was Mass Effect 3's like the whole
And
debacle with
the
the end.
doctors left.
Yeah.
Yeah, the doctors got promoted up into EA.
Yeah.
The
'Cause-
organization and then retired.
Because, yeah, like they had multiple studios working on multiple projects and all of them started to get canceled. They had a Warhammer Online project that got canceled
There's a
after an
Command and
open
Conquer
beta.
game.
The Command and Conquer,
yeah.
which was supposed to be a Generals 2 game.
Yeah.
And then Shadow Realms was going to be their original IP, and that was also going to be like an asymmetrical multiplayer RPG, but it was supposed to be like a horror game. They had really cool
We never
teasers
saw
for that.
anything of that besides a teaser trailer.
A really cool teaser trailer, but that's it.
Yeah, there's that screenshot of the smoke guy sitting in a chair. And
Yeah.
that's all they showed of that thing.
And, and so then they had to like clearly all of these multiple like teams getting coalesced around two internal teams, one of which was the Dragon Age team, the other of which was the Mass Effect team, and
Well,
then
there's
things
Andromeda.
really catch on fire because Andromeda comes out. It's a problem.
That was their Montreal team. So they had like their Edmonton office, the Austin office, which was doing the MMO, and then they tried to have a Montreal office with Andromeda. And that, I mean, you can listen to the episode on that.
Yes, listen to our episode on that.
And it was Edmonton that was doing Anthem and Dragon Age 4.
Project Joplin.
So that leads us to this game, which was Project Joplin.
No, this game is Project Morrison.
Are you sure?
Yes. So
okay.
What happened? What happened is that the original version of Dragon Age 4, the fourth Dragon Age game, started development in 2015
with Mike Laidlaw.
So right after, with Mike Laidlaw, who, not to be confused with the Valve guy Mark Laidlaw. Mike Laidlaw as the director. It was going to be like a smaller Tevinter heist game, like very much like kind of a paring down from Inquisition's open world bloat nightmare.
Which, as someone who felt like Inquisition was bloat nightmare, that original pitch of like we're gonna make a small, almost Dishonored like version of Dragon Age, but it's still gonna be an RPG. I was totally down with that original pitch by Mike Laidlaw when it came out. Like that was the pitch. The problem is that BioWare decided to have a video game called Mass Effect Andromeda release, and everything was on fire. And then actively were working on a massively multiplayer game called Anthem, and it was all hands on deck for Anthem.
Yeah, so Project Joplin got canceled in 2017 because everyone on deck had to basically once they were done fixing Andromeda, they then went on to fixing Anthem. So the Dragon Age team basically they did not restart development until 2018.
And from the sounds of it, it was a complete, like, they discarded everything that they had made up to this point. Joplin was just basically deleted.
And Mike Laidlaw left BioWare. He was at Ubisoft Quebec for a while, and then he founded his own studio, and they made a game called Eternal Strands, which none of us have played. but I've
I think I played
heard
some of that.
mixed things about.
That's okay. It's an okay game.
It's okay, raves
It's no,
Borgmaster.
it's an okay mid-budget action RPG. It's a more okay mid-budget action. You know what? I'll get to it later.
We'll get to it later. So the game, this version of Dragon Age, and this is important. So yes, they rebooted development, started from scratch, and decided to make it a live service game. And this was under Mark Dara.
And this is the year Destiny 2 came out. For
Yes,
context.
this is the year Destiny 2 came out. And Mark Dara eventually left BioWare.
Well, not only that, but he was going to use code from Anthem to make the live service stuff work better.
Yeah.
So,
and after a couple prototypes, basically the entire team was like, "This seems bad. Let's shift back to a single player game." And so this is where there was that teaser trailer at the Keeleys that apparently was put out kind of without EA's knowledge as a way to keep the game from getting canceled.
Someone else. Yeah, they also contracted it to someone else that wasn't anyone from the team that made the game. So that's why that trailer is bad.
So basically, yeah, so the live service part of the game, they put the brakes on it, but they are not given enough time to fully reset development again. And this is
at this point.
Yes, and this is the part of this game's development that I feel like explains everything we're going to say in the rest of this podcast. Is basically they were told they only had 18 months to finish the game, and that did not end up being true. But it sounds like for like the next 3 years, they were always under the impression that the game was going to be 18 months away from development, from being released. And so you can see that in the very patchwork way in which Dragon Age The Veilguard resembles a live service game, but is not a live service game. And you can read the Jason Schreier article if you want more on that, because he gets into it a little bit more. But essentially, this games get the single player MMO, not as much anymore, but like derogatory term single player MMO. And you can see games that are like that. I always think of Kingdoms of Amalur as far as like that game structure and how every environment is basically an MMO zone.
So would you rather play Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning or Dragon Age The Veilguard?
I'd have to replay Kingdoms of Amalur.
It's all right.
I think it is a surprisingly apt comparison. The thing before we talk about anything about the story or the characters, the thing that defines this game is that they reverse engineered a game as a service back into a single player RPG. And that informs every single aspect of the rest of the game.
And then they went and released it a year after Baldur's Gate 3 came out, which is really just tragic.
Yeah, so a year after Baldur's Gate 3.
And that's tragic.
That,
Yeah, and I mean, that's just like, by the time they release a Dragon Age game, the market and taste had changed so much that you could just make a CRPG again.
So that's like something where when I was reading that Schreier article, it seemed like they weren't allowed to fully abandon. They were told to abandon the multiplayer model, but they weren't given a full reset, and so they had to basically plug in the gameplay into anything. And for whatever reason, maybe out of necessity because they had to work with, a team that had been lost all of those classic Dragon Age Origin team members. They decided to make something that was inspired by the reboot God of War game, reducing the turn-based elements and then just putting in a real-time action combat system. And regardless of if you view that as a betrayal or not, that holds the fort for a pretty long time.
I mean, it feels like it was influenced by every action game that came out between 2018 and 2022.
They directly,
Yes.
like the people who were finally the leaders after the multiple,
Multiple
layoffs
departures.
and departures, that the gameplay was influenced by God of War,
God of
the
War
reboot God.
2018, and you can
Yeah,
tell
2018.
because there is you can stagger enemies and execute them.
And I don't know if like that was a conscious decision or they have
They cited it.
this husk, and this is probably the easiest thing that we can put into this husk, and it makes sense. Um,
And I do.
I would believe that this combat was the choice from the get-go.
okay.
I think that they were always planning on action combat
Yeah,
because
it's just like what kind of action combat probably changed about half-assedly over the years
who knows.
as they went. I mean, that's the way it feels. But I do
I don't think
want
it changed
to.
over the years. I just think uh, some of those indicators for the parry timers are less than great.
Yeah.
It's the most half-assed parry system I've ever seen.
No, that's not even close to
That's
being
not even
true.
true.
No.
No,
I
it's
don't even
just
like parry systems.
the indicator
Maybe not
turns
near as
yellow
good for
too
you.
early.
Yeah.
It sure does. But I just
Uh,
wanted to have the listeners keep in mind that as the team in Edmonton that was working on it over the years, you had the whole Andromeda saga in Montreal. That whole studio spun up, crapped out Andromeda, and then we're all sacked.
or
The
reassigned to support work.
or reassigned. And in Edmonton, you had the Anthem team and all the drama there. And then after that fell apart and came out, they started put together a team for a Mass Effect reboot that is yet to be seen. And then that team had to get involved to get this game across the line.
Sure did.
Yeah.
So
And then on top of that, from 2023 all the way up until, even the release of this game, BioWare has seen layoff after layoff after layoff
After departure.
after departure. I think the most significant one was in 2023 when they laid off a pretty huge portion of the Veilguard and even next Mass Effect team, which included Mary Kirby, who was you know, one of the original writers for Origin, created Varric and the Kunari. And it just feels like, while, again, the team that actually got this game to the finish line did a very good job, I think that it is very telling that, unlike past installments, this game has gotten no DLC, no major additional post-launch content. The what is it? Games director Corrine Bush exited the company to go to a different
Yes.
role, and BioWare has not said a peep about if anything will ever come out connected to Veilguard, and I don't
To
think there
Dragon
ever will.
Age.
Yeah.
Ever again. And yeah, there's I think you can tell this was done by a different group of people that made the first 3 games, because there's actually, if you Dragon Age, and I've this is a point I feel like I might as well make here before I move on. And it's a point we kind of made in our Dragon Age 2 episode. And it's Dragon Age as a franchise is 4 very different games with completely different art styles and fairly different gameplay styles. the only thing resembling continuity between each Dragon Age game, is the lore. Because
Sure.
the tone of these games has definitely gotten a lot more like light and high fantasy over the years. We'll get to that. And the gameplay, basically, they've never tried to go back to making a CRPG. Like even Dragon Age 2
Is not that.
is not
That's
that.
a full-on action game, yeah. At that point,
And then by the time they get to Inquisition, there's that half-assed tactical camera that you're never going to use.
that really insulting tactical camera, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think there's a lot that we'll say about the combat in this game. I will say this: I at least respect them dropping the act and
Yeah.
not even including that shit in here, and it's just a full-on action game.
Funnily enough, there's still the Mass Effect pause wheel where you can issue commands.
Sure, but like the tactical map view,
Oh yeah,
it's not even here. And
there is no real time with pause to be found. It is an action game.
I kind of respect that because
can
it was
kind of
so
pause.
half-assed in Inquisition that it shouldn't have existed in the first place because it was an inferior experience.
And I think the combat in this game is where you can see both like you can tell that this was the part of the game they did not have to constantly redo from scratch, because I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's I don't think it carries the game by itself, but the 3 classes of Dragon Age each have 2 weapons, and those weapons have fairly different movesets. All of those classes play very differently from one another and can be built in interesting ways. Like the skill tree, actually, like each node on the skill tree feels at least moderately impactful. I played as a warrior, so warriors have sword and board and big old 2-handers. And so sword and board is very much about like, hey, guess what? You can block. So even if you mess up your parry timing, you can still absorb a chunk of damage. You can shield bash, which shield bash attacks usually have high stun damage. Just like the shield bash attacks in God of War 2018. And the big old 2-hander is slow, but it attacks in a big old wide sweep. And you can do a lot of charge hits, like you're using the great sword in Monster Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was pretty fun. I think there is they understand, like enemies respond appropriately when they get hit with a big old charged 2-handed hit, where they will actually get staggered. You can knock enemies off cliffs in this game. Like you can kill enemies with ring outs, which I deeply appreciate. Because the first move you get as the warrior is a drop kick,
Which is basically the Vanguard charge from Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, but it's also a drop kick. What classes did you 2 play?
Warrior. And also, you probably should play as Warrior because your first 3 party members are all ranged.
Your party members exist.
Yeah.
They don't do anything for you.
So
They exist to set off combos.
I went mage.
Tell me about the mage.
The mage is fine. It has increased. You have increased reliance on elements, so knowing weaknesses of various enemies is basically the key. So if you've got a fire spell, use it when it's like nature things, but you don't use the fire spell when you're in like lava world. I really like Deathcaller and Evoker. I think that but I would say this is the part where I'm going to push back on something that Braden said. I think some of the specializations are a little too similar in gameplay. So with Mage, Deathcaller and Evoker are basically the same thing in a lot of ways, and Spellblades are kind of the only unique class that offers an entirely different play style. Otherwise, it's just like, oh yeah, now the magic that you throw out is purple instead of blue.
Yeah.
The
For
nice
the
thing about
warrior,
Mage, though, is that I had no problem with crowd control, which can sometimes be a bit of a problem if you play Warrior.
Sure is.
Because I can just drop an AoE spell and everybody's like slowly moving as if they're stuck in molasses, or I can just set them all on fire.
So none of us played rogue.
But the mage is very combo heavy, and the learning curve to pop off spells to do
Set
the
off
combo
detonations.
system and set off detonations, it is way harder for mage than warrior. So I would probably recommend that you just stick with warrior.
Or rogue. None of us played rogue, but
I played a little bit of rogue at the start because I heard people hated rogue in this game. And the thing about rogue is if you like the parry system in this game, you should play rogue. And if you're a reasonable human being, you should avoid rogue.
Oh dear.
You eventually have like the whole veil jumper and saboteur builds, but it's still pretty hard to manage like taking advantage of that parry system because again, the timing's just a tiny bit off.
yes,
This
the
fact that it's a
indicator
tiny bit
turns
off,
yellow.
it
early.
hurts. I mean, the indicator is a little bit easier if you are a rogue. That's the whole point. But it's still just a very hard to use class because it's like the linchpin is this parry and dodge system, which the dodge is there for you to run away without consequence.
Yeah.
So yeah, I played mage and I died quite a bit at the start, and then I think this is something regardless of how you play this game. I don't think this is a hard game.
No.
I think the
No.
combat
Annoying.
both comes into its own a little more once you have more abilities and can actually, set up combos with your party members.
So does the game get good?
But also, the combat. I played on the second highest difficulty, and I would say the combat is not super hard. Like enemies do definitely hit pretty hard, but I would say I never found it super frustrating. I think it was a decent enough challenge.
The consequence is that it feels very repetitious because
there are 3 enemy factions.
There are only 3 enemy factions, and all of those factions have like what? 3 or 4 enemy types for regular missions until you get
for
to
regular
more climactic
enemies.
chapter ends.
And sometimes they'll have heavies. But okay, there are 4 technically because
But even then, you're stuck with the same enemy types, the same enemy comps, and the strategy is the same pretty much from beginning to end. And it's an action game with, eventually you get those specializations which lead to new playstyles, which we can talk about later. But it really becomes, I really hate to say this, the combat is very mindless. It's very brain off. It's very,
it
empty
turns
calorie.
into it feels like a crutch. Or maybe I should put it this way, it feels like there should be less combat in this game. Because so
it's not like the puzzle design's much better.
So here's the other thing about this game, right? Is structure-wise, this game is kind of Mass Effect 2. You have these hub areas that you go back to over time, and then when you pick up a mission, you are usually escorted through a fairly linear, occasionally set-piece driven environment. And so there's a lot of combat. And there's a pretty sharp delineation between talkie time and fighty time. There are environmental puzzles, there are hidden things in these environments, these hub areas, whatever you want to call them.
And there's side missions too.
Yeah, side missions.
And faction missions and all that.
Yeah, faction missions.
There is a expected amount of slop to be had in this game.
And can we what if we decided not to say slop just to fight the children and we said chaff?
Chaff?
Yeah. There's a big old heaping of cellulose. Video game role-playing game cellulose.
See, I would say there's a very standard amount
Yeah.
of fat on the bone.
Of video game released in 2024 content.
So the content that's there to be content, there's a very standard amount of it. Not what you say there, other than it exists and you can do it if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to engage with Treviso,
If you want to find all of the hidden chests and all of the Dreadwolf statues, there are things to do that would allow you to play this game for like 80 hours.
Yes, but also there are parts of this game that feel like it's not even approaching the normal standard for either a game of this type or what we've come to expect out of BioWare. And I realize that's a loaded thing to say.
Expect out of BioWare. What do we expect out of BioWare?
Well, let me finish. You get to some of these environments and there are side quests, but there aren't really a ton of side quests. There aren't a lot of like mission giving or really interesting NPCs to interact with these environments. They feel much more linear and directive towards just go to the main quest. Just do the main quest. Just go to the main quest. Why are you here? Go to the main quest. Go now.
This is where I would say you can see the bones of the service game the most clearly. Is your side quests come from your party members. The majority of your side quests have come from the party members. And then the other chunk of them come from factions, the factions in each environment. So, for example, in Docktown, it's the dragons, right? It's the resistance. And then in
the Veil Jumpers and
the Veil Jumpers and the Merchants of Fortune, the Lords of Fortune?
Yeah, sure.
The Pirates. Because, by the way, Isabella's there and she's the faction leader.
Yay! But we'll and then you have the Crows, who are Spanish Italians.
Yeah, Spain-Talians, and they love coffee. And so, yeah, you can see that in the way these areas are set up. And also, when you go to a faction's headquarters and there's a faction merchant with a big old fucking faction reputation bar right next to them.
It feels like Destiny, right?
And it feels it feels like, oh, I gotta grind out stuff to get the really good marksman rifle from Dead Orbit. That's a Destiny 1 thing that the kids will understand.
And then the upgrade system and the crafting and snare quote system is you're just collecting a dozen or so materials out in the environment, and then you're spending those as currency.
So I will give this game's loot system credit because I think it's smart. It's actually smartly thought through.
Because
you're not to a degree.
To a degree. I mean, to a degree, this entire game's compromised.
Yeah,
but basically, all of the items you get, when you get a duplicate of that item, it just updates its rarity. And the only thing you need to go to the crafting for is to increase its plus level. So if you find an item with perks that suit your build, you can basically just stick with it, and you don't have to farm for new items. You don't have to, search for shit. You don't have to do what you would have to do in a live service game where you just fight the same boss over and over again until you get the version of that item you want.
Okay,
so I appreciate that.
Hear me out. What if you had pools you can do for these items? That you can do them in batches of 10 maybe. 10 pools at a time. And then you get a random assortment of these items.
Borgmaster, I'm sure there's a Dragon Age mobile game that has since been discontinued.
I mean, there's a Destiny gacha out there, so.
But
anyway, this game should have been a gacha.
No, here's where I say maybe they should have kept this as a live service game. It would have been more honest.
Yeah.
Which is not to say like it's not a decent enough single player RPG experience, but when I see like all of the combo stuff and all of the setups and how sort of useless your party members are at doing anything other than, dropping an ability every 30 seconds.
God, they really are
I
that
think,
useless.
what if those were real people? What if I was playing this with my friends?
Yeah, but do you really think that? Okay, so
But this will turn into Anthem, where
yeah, this would have turned into Anthem.
I, we're talking platonic ideals here. We're not talking about the
but
reality
hear me
of
out here.
BioWare fucked up a live service game and they do it again.
Part of the reason why those online multiplayer shooters work is because there's a sci-fi element. You can move anywhere. You can be in the air. You can do somersaults and stuff like that. You can't really do that in Dragon Age. You've never
The
been
Soul
able to.
Frame people disagree.
So you think that
They're
this?
making Fantasy Warframe right now.
I understand that there are fantasy warframes, but do you really feel like the movement and the feel of Dragon Age could have actually worked with that? Because I
Yeah.
don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that the movement
I think
works
the
well.
movement's pretty good.
I mean, I think it feels pretty bad to move around in this game, but you can make it better.
Yeah, I'm with Borg. I think that the movement, I like the feel of the game is a little slow and sluggish.
But maybe they chunked it up after they moved away from the live service element.
It's possible. I
mean,
have a hard time squinting my eyes and imagining.
I just think it would be better if I could play it cooperatively.
Yeah, and look, I
Because
think that Larian has
open
proven. Even Larian has.
no,
put
I'm
in
not even
co-op
talking about
modes in
Larian
it.
style. I'm talking about this game's action combat feels like the fact that you have access to only one of these classes, and these classes all play pretty differently from one another. And it feels like you should be able to play with other people, and it feels designed around that. But instead you have your AI party members who you mostly use to set off skill combos and or heal you. And
But no,
I
will agree that if this game was actually just Destiny but Dragon Age, then it would be better.
Destiny is one of the greatest evils to inflict video games in the past 10 years. Especially with the Destiny menu cursor, which is in this game, by the way.
You bet it is.
You bet it is, motherfucker. But I think there's something about me that I just think it would be more honest. It would be more honest if they kept it as a service game, because for now I just see all of the strings.
Sure, it's really awkward where you talk to you talk to those factions and you see these bars and it's like, I bet this would go a lot faster if I could just ring these out with a companion and then just get my fucking juice and then move on.
Just do my fucking dailies.
But also, these zones aren't big enough.
That's where I say that it doesn't make sense. Is
Have
like
you
these
played
worlds
Destiny?
aren't big enough.
Have you played Destiny?
Good enough.
Checkmate, motherfucker.
I mean, the first few zones you need like your hover bike to get around in, and also probably again in the transition, they probably cut out a lot of
they
probably consolidated a lot.
There's a giant fucking laundry list of ideas that were either cut or never implemented because of we are under the impression that we have 18 months to finish this game.
Like Arlothan, like for example, there's that central area with the boat, but that central hub could probably be like 20 times bigger.
Yeah.
Sure.
With more encounters and more things going off of it, and then
NPCs outside of the faction areas.
And then world events happening out there.
What if you could have conversations with your party members and ask them things instead of you having to talk to them in your let's say Normandy-esque hub?
Oh, so okay, I'm just gonna say this here. The
Citadel.
I know why they have they have this in this kind of game because it's a natural evolution, but it's so awkward when the party members are having their BioWare chat out in the field, and then you get into combat or something, and they stop, and and then you get out of combat, and it's a very awkward of, oh, what was I saying? Oh, right, and then it just cuts back to
God of War 2018 also did that.
Okay,
that's modern video games, baby.
That's modern video games.
I don't play
what they were
video
pulling
games.
from. I will say this, Borg. This game, that problem is way more pronounced in the start than once you get nearer the halfway point, because, and this is even something, Braden, that we talked about when you were streaming this game makes a pretty bad first impression. Holy
Yes.
shit.
The first 2 hours of this game, I was very ready to write it off completely.
It's a really bad opening.
It feels like it is from a different game because it probably was from an earlier version of the game. And then they never had time to go back to it.
Just the whole opening's a mess. And even 10 hours in, it's still not good. So I don't know like at what point it becomes that the thing where you take your mind off and you chaff it up. Is that 15, 20 hours in?
So my feelings on this game went from this is one of the worst things I've played recently to, oh, this has the juice, this is okay, I'm having an all right time, to I would like this to be over, even though I'm not having a terrible time. I would like this to be done.
Because in that start, you're getting introduced to all of these characters. They just won't shut the fuck up. It is just diatribe, wit.
It is
witticisms, one-off, snark.
And
it
the
is
rating's so
characters
bad.
doing
unrelenting,
and
Josh Whedonism dialogue.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not. You know what? I'll save the argument for a different time.
The beginning of the game, like, characters are quipping a lot, and it's really annoying, and you just are kind of thrown into what feels like it would be a logical endpoint for whatever the original idea of Dragon Age 4 was. So your character, Rook, who can be a human, dwarf, elf, Kunari,
who's just some asshole that Varric found.
Some asshole that Varric likes. You pick from one of 6 factions that are all conveniently factions tied into the game, but the only one you, the player, have any knowledge of, if you're not a weird lore freak, is the Grey Wardens. So I made my Rook a Grey Warden.
I felt happy making mine a Veil Jumper because you immediately go to the Veil Jumper faction as the first faction.
So you are kind of thrown in, like, basically at the end, like, hey, we got to stop Solus from opening up the Veil and fucking things up. All right, kid, let's get to work. Tutorial time. And the entire time, all of these characters just won't shut up. And it feels very like this should have... What are you doing here? This should have been the end of whatever this original idea was. Anyway, you get to Solus.
But also, the tutorial is really bad. They don't even tell you about the heavy attack.
No,
it's really bad.
It feels weirdly once again, it doesn't feel like they had time to go back to it and make it half decent. But yeah, your character, Varric, Harding, who is one of those support characters in Inquisition. She's a dwarf lady. I don't remember her from Inquisition, which is how you know she was a great character. And then you have Nev.
Nev Gallus. Everyone knows Nev Gallus. Oh, yes.
They keep saying Nev Gallus over and over and over again. You're like, who?
Oh, I mean, we all know who Nev Gallus is. I mean, Nev Gallus is the most special person in all of Divinity.
No, she's a detective / resistance member / wizard lady.
So listen. I guess that's where we should maybe start with the narrative. What is the narrative hook for this game? With
So
Inquisition, there was an act of terror, and we have to
sky
investigate.
lasers.
And so, what is the hook for
It
this
was
story? Why are these?
2014, so we need to stop all of the sky lasers. This game, Dragon Age 2 was very much like slice of life story building over 10 years. It doesn't do that very well, but there's at least a through line with the mages and Templars.
It's a real idea. It's a real idea they had for Dragon
It's an
Age.
idea they had that if they had had more time, they would have either made way better or fucked up worse.
And then Dragon Age 1 is hey, there's these dark
big
spawn.
evil
It's a
army.
blight. There's a
You gotta
blight.
get everyone.
We
There's a
gotta
blight.
do a thing.
You are part of important faction, and you've got to gather the other factions to fight the big bad. Which, that's the BioWare template, right?
That's a classic.
And I'm not going to give them
works.
shit for that.
It works.
I mean, yeah, they didn't have enough time to go away from the BioWare template.
Yeah.
So there's usually these camp areas or these, meeting areas where all of your characters and your party members just will plop themselves at, so as that you can talk to them. But this is the one part where the BioWare formula was maybe not experimented with. Admittedly, yes, they didn't have enough time to do that because some of these characters are just so soulless and empty, and it just feels.
In Veilguard, you're talking about.
Yeah, Veilguard.
Did you say soulless? Because he was set up to be the big bad at the end of the Trespasser DLC.
Right. So what they do with Soulless, huh?
And then he gets sent to the Shadow Realm for most of the game.
He gets sent to the Shadow Realm for most of the game. So Soulless, who by the end, so as a reminder for those of you who didn't play Dragon Age Inquisition all the way through and its DLC, which I didn't, but I did watch other people do it. Also, by the way, that game came out more than 10 years ago, in case you forgot.
It's a retro game.
Yeah, it's a retro game. So at the end, Soulless, your egghead elf, basically he's like, by the way, I'm an ancient elven god named Fen'Harel. I'm the Dreadwolf. I'm a trickster. I want to bring the elves back to their place of prominence in the world because y'all have been doing racism against the elves too much. And so I'm going to basically tear open the veil and, give the elves back their ancestral power so that, because I'm an elven supremacist.
All right, so here's something where I've forgotten everything about Inquisition. Didn't he help you go around closing up tears in the veil?
Yes,
in that game?
But that's because Corypheus was doing bad shit with that.
Yeah, Corypheus was being a space mummy or fantasy mummy evil dude.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to unleash demons on the whole world. He just knows that a couple demons will get out and kill a couple thousand million people along the way. Don't worry though, the elves will fix it. So
he wants so he wants to tear the correct part of the veil.
Well, he wants to do it correctly. Yes.
I will point out that this contrivance with like Soulless getting basically fridged. The original title for this game was Dreadwolf or Direwolf or whatever. Dreadwolf. And the implication being that the big focal point was going to be Soulless as your villain.
Yeah, stopping him. And this game starts with you stopping Soulless. And you fuck up while stopping him, and instead you let out two of the ancient elven gods that Soulless sealed away in the veil. Because
because they're all assholes apparently.
Because he was Elf Spartacus, and he sealed away the evil elven gods, and in the process he fucked up the elves, and they lost their ancient magic, and then everyone was racist to the elves. So there is lore continuity here. They're not drawing this out of their asses.
Not entirely.
There are very few actual full-on retcons in this game's writing. At least, retcons that weren't already present in Inquisition in some form or another.
So
But
not many retcons, but a lot of OC
hand
Backpedaling.
waves.
in this
No,
game.
I think it's narrative triage. This team knew what they wanted to write and they knew what they were inheriting, so they triaged what they were capable of doing given the time constraint.
Yeah.
So Solus gets basically thrown into the Shadow Realm. We don't really see him very much until the end of the game.
Yeah.
Varric, who is one of the most beloved Dragon Age characters ever,
He gets stabbed.
he gets stabbed and is put in like
He's
a corner for a
basically
bit.
in bed rest for the rest of the game.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Until
We'll leave that until later.
Until.
And so then your character Rook has to basically pull a BioWare and unite all of these factions to fight against these evil elven gods who have come back and are going to basically fuck everything up for everyone forever.
And there's like hanging out on an island, which is like making a knife for most of the game.
Yeah, they're hanging out on an island making a knife. They get a couple. So the other interesting thing I'd say about this game's story is that this game takes place in northern Thedas, whereas the last 3 games took place in the southern part of the world. So this is a game that takes place almost entirely in areas that were just background lore snippets before. Whereas, in Ferelden was basically like it's a combination of it's Westeros, right? It's shitty high fantasy Westeros.
It's medieval England
Yeah.
with more monsters in it.
Yeah, and then there's
Orlais, which is
France. And then there are the free marches to the north. And the free marches are a bunch of city-states. And that's where Dragon Age 2 takes place in Kirkwall. And then Inquisition kind of takes place mostly in Ferelden and Ferelden and Orlais. Yeah. And this game takes place to the north of that. Mostly in the Tevinter Imperium, but also kind of everywhere.
All right, so there's Tevinter, the Anderfels, Antiva, and Rivian.
Antifa's in this game?
Yeah, Tifa's. Yes, I wish Tifa was in this game.
And if only Tifa was in this game.
Okay.
So you have areas that were basically background lore before. And so the main antagonists, like the main goons you fight, I should say, who are serving the elven gods. You have the Venatori, who are Tevinter blood mage cultists, who are basically like political extremists. And when you encountered them in previous games, they were always like slavers and blood mages, and you just fucking kill them. Here, they are regular mooks that you just mow down. I have some feelings on the way this game treats things that were previously treated with gravity are now just like, we gotta mow through these guys. Like, no one blinks that they're like, no, they're just blood mages everywhere, because it's Tevinter. No one gives a shit that, like, a couple demons get out every now and then, because you're in this weird mageocracy.
Well, they tried to think about it in Dragon Quest, or Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, and also Inquisition has the Venatori. Because there's a bunch of stuff with Dorian in that game that is about Tevinter. And Dorian very briefly shows up in this game to remind you he exists, but he doesn't look like Freddie Mercury anymore, so I didn't recognize him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dorian's a well-written character, for as much as the way... We'll get to it. We'll get to questionably handled queer sub-stories.
In a BioWare game?
In a BioWare game. So there's the Venatori, there's the Antom, who are basically they're Kunari. They're a splinter from the Kunari who got tired of fighting the Tevinter Imperium, and so they decided to fuck off and abandon the Quran. Excuse me, I mean the Kun, and are basically just like raiding assholes now. And they have taken over Antiva, which is Spain-Tally.
Which is Venice. It's just Venice.
Yeah. Treviso is basically it's Venice, but with Spanish-ish architecture. And then there are Darkspawn.
And there's Darkspawn. It wouldn't just
and Undead when needed. There's also what is it? The Navarra, which is the country where everyone does the necromancy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only place in apparently in that setting where people bury their dead instead of cremating them. Because there's a lot of neat background shit here, and it just all gets thrown at you offhand or like tossed aside because you're playing fucking Destiny, and if you want lore, look at the codex, you dork.
And then also you're teleporting everywhere, which is a big change.
Yeah, you're teleporting instead of walking to locations, which means you don't really have a ton of opportunities to bump into NPCs and
or like just take in the world
dialogue things. Yeah, you can't really take in the world, but to go to something that I think Borgmaster has been itching to talk about.
Let's talk about it.
When you do decide to talk to things and talk to people, especially when it's not your main characters, when it's NPCs or just, randos on the street, you can tell that the production values, especially the eyes,
or the mouth flaps,
flap, was not spent equally or equitably, I should say.
These characters animate basically the same way they did in Inquisition, but with a modern game engine, and it's freaky. It freaks me the fuck out.
There are a lot of dead eyes, which obviously we didn't have that problem with Anthem because they spent so much goddamn money in there, but there are a lot of characters who are trying to say excited lines, but their eyes just look tired. And
thing is, like, in the 720p era, that's fine, that's whatever, because nothing animates that well. So it's like very little facial animation, or like the fact that, or like having a facial animation was like, oh wow, they have facial animation in this game at all, period. And so that works there. But this is the 2020s. And you're using high res textures on these characters,
and you are cursed. You are cursed with competing with Baldur's Gate 3, which did performance capture for almost all of its dialogue.
So you can't have things at the fidelity of animation that you could have 10 years ago, or because that's just not the especially not with these graphics. I mean, if you did like a stylistic, like a lower texture fidelity kind of stylized thing, and they animated like this, you could get away with that. Like if this game was cel shaded or something, then you could get away with this kind of stuff. But going for like a hyper realistic design for things,
I would say this game is not going for a hyper realistic. I'd say
like the characters.
I would say it's slightly more stylized than Inquisition was. Like it's a little more World of Warcraft like tuned.
I don't know if it goes fully World of Warcraft.
No, it's not fully WoW, but I mean in terms of like characters are a little more cartoonish, their proportions are a little more out there.
They're proportion based off of the fantasy stuff that is in here. Like for example, Kunari are going to be big, bulbous, like muscle dudes with horns, and so that's
like the elves
true.
And humans.
But the elves and humans absolutely have a semi-realism to their face, and the way that their mouths move and their eyes are designed or programmed is awkward when it's not a party member or you're not during a cutscene.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's you can tell which parts got the money.
Or the mocap.
And speaking of elves, once again, elves just look completely different in each of these games.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want an even better example of this franchise can't decide on what to make things look like let's talk about how the Darkspawn have been depicted in every
Yeah.
single
At this
Dragon
point, the
Age game.
Darkspawn are basically zombies, and there is a lore excuse. And that it's like, oh, Elganon, she made a new, more fucked up blight, and that's why the Darkspawn look more like fucked up zombies.
Or like that faction from Destiny.
Yeah.
Whatchamacallit?
The Taken.
The Taken. Yes.
Yeah. So,
But even then, like the consistency with the Darkspawn has been
there has been
there is
none.
no consistency.
And
like there is
that's
none.
what I've been saying is there for as much as I think this game's like lore has remained fairly consistent, even if like a lot of it has been hand waved, art style wise and tonally, this could not be more removed from what Dragon Age Origins was originally trying. And I say this as someone who thinks, you know, when I went back and played Dragon Age Origins during COVID, and then I was on the podcast where the main pod played it, and that was, I believe, my first pod appearance here. Dragon Age Origins makes sense in 2009 when you have a bunch of dudes who have read a Game of Thrones before the TV series happened, and are like, what if we threw in more shithole fantasy and power plays in regular fantasy world, which a lot of that translates to what if there was prejudice, but it is at least like a fairly consistent dark fantasy tone, and Dragon Age 2 sort of is like that. It's still that, but you know, the art style is a lot more cartoony.
They're on some different shit with Dragon Age.
They're on some different shit, and then, you know, it's
a very
just
interesting direction that doesn't go anywhere.
Such a fucking bizarre trajectory.
Yeah.
This entire series.
Swerve and Inquisition.
Because when you look at the first 3 Mass Effect games, those are all games running on the same engine with roughly the same creative team behind them, for as much as you can say, like, they dropped a lot of the 70s and 80s sci-fi stuff in Mass Effect 2 and 3. It's still very much, there's a consistent through line, even if, you know, by the end it became a lot dumber and more actiony.
Even if they retconned bullets into the, I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there is a through line. It is a trilogy. The Dragon Age games are, I don't
know. Like, I will give this game's writers credit. They clearly knew the lore, and they have used it to great effect. I wish that stuff was showcased more instead of thrown off in asides by characters during in-mission dialogue.
The times when you can tell that the writing team took the time and effort to consider, I don't know, genderqueer options for your characters and that type of stuff, it's the best it's been for a BioWare game.
Yeah. So
you've said this on stream. You can tell that, you know, an LGBTQ person wrote these characters and wrote the script.
This game was directed by a queer woman, Corinne Bush.
Yeah.
And you can tell, and I think this game is like, once again, for his I think BioWare has been you can accuse we are all cishet men, so I'm not gonna go too far down this hole, but I will say that BioWare has always I have found BioWare to be sort of awkward when it came to dealing with queer stuff in a lot of its games.
Ham-handed
there's
the time.
There's that subplot. I always go back to an Inquisition with Dorian, who is gay. You can tell because he looks like Freddie Mercury. And like part of his backstory is like he's talking about how like his parents tried to conversion therapy the gay out of him with blood magic. And it's like, I get what you're doing, BioWare, but this is fairly clumsy. Whereas I feel like most of that is handled pretty well here. Most of it.
Most of it.
I mean,
I
isn't
have
there a document you find pretty early on that just explicitly says, "Hey, yeah, people are of any gender in Thedas, and no one cares usually."
I think that was a codex entry all the way back to the original game.
Oh, that was okay.
Yeah, but I think this game is. You can tell this game is like it's very inclusive. You can even decide if your character is trans. You can have your character be canonically trans, and there will actually be a few dialogue choices that reflect that. This game is actually kind of okay when it comes to reflecting like your character's background and like integrating it. I should say first off, your dialogue choices. You have 3 dialogue choices most of the time, and those dialogue choices are friendly, jokey friendly, and serious friendly.
And then the fourth one, which is horny.
Yeah, and sometimes it's horny. Yeah. The romances are weirdly chaste.
Yeah. So okay, this is an M-rated game. It's rated M for nudity, and there's a nudity toggle in the options. Like we're going through the options
you
as
can
you
see
should
the
do
dongle
when you start a game.
Or
like,
no, you can just see the boobs. There's no there's no
Mhm.
bottomless.
There's a toggle to turn nudity on and off, and all that does is in the character creator. If you choose a female body type, you can see the boobs. That's all the nudity in the game.
I have always
Like-
been of the look. I've always kind of been of the opinion that the sex scenes in Dragon Age Origins were some of the most embarrassing shit
Oh, they are.
imaginable. So I'm totally fine with that.
The sections got better by Inquisition.
I just
I
it's
think
all,
they
but
were
it's
still
also
an embarrassment.
the sex scenes in Andromeda go weirdly hard.
Yeah, no, there's full frontal and
then and then BioWare.
and it's awkward enough that like you wish there wasn't.
Yeah, and then and then BG3, of course.
I mean, BG3 just shows how
BG3 just shows the whole
shows the whole bear.
BG3 is softcore pornography. I mean,
shows the whole tentacle.
Shows the whole tentacle. Yeah.
God.
God,
Baldur's Gate 3 is so good.
That's the main takeaway
I'm sorry
to get from this.
I'm sorry. But yeah, like so and you can romance anyone with anyone. Which whatever. I think I personally have come to the point where I just it's a fantasy that if people want to have a fantasy of romancing specific characters, they should be able to. In a game like this, it is an expectation.
Unturned. Like everything that you would want is covered here.
Yeah,
basically.
But these characters themselves, maybe one of the more less memorable casts.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the characters.
All right, so do we just go in order?
There are 7 party members, and 6 of them are tied to the 6 factions in the game. The 7th is Harding, who is tied back into Inquisition. And, the Inquisitor from Dragon Age Inquisition eventually shows up. So if you want to remake your character from that game and have them show up in the 3rd act, you can do that.
I'd imagine most people did the choice at the beginning that gives Harding.
Speaking of which, we forgot to fucking mention this. Braden.
What
are the choices that matter from Inquisition in this game?
Oh God, fuck.
We forgot this part.
3,
How did we forget this part?
Fuck. Okay. This pod's going to be like more than 2 hours, and I don't give a shit.
Because we have to talk about this.
I don't care.
I demand we talk about this.
Fuck
There's
you,
no Dragon Age
people who listen to podcasts at double speed. I know you know who you are.
There are literally hundreds of choices from Inquisition, and
so you may recall
your Inquisition save file. Remember, Braden, your Inquisition save file still used that or used that fucking
Dragon Age
save
key.
file manager
still there.
back in
it's
the
still
day.
There. Yep. No, it's still there. You can go see it.
You can go from 1 to 2 to Inquisition, and all of your choices have been honored. It's
or
like
or
the
at
weird
least
way
like
that the
they have kept
game
track of them, right?
warps
Yeah,
and
it's all
wobbles,
tracked.
and they boiled it down to 4 choices.
3.
3? I thought it was
3.
4.
No,
Okay,
it's
I think
3.
no, I'm counting. I have it on my notes. I counted the gender of the Grey Warden as like an
The
option. But
Inquisitor.
okay,
Yeah.
fine.
So,
But
yes. So, Inquisition, even if Inquisition acknowledged your choices in like a note, like you would get a note at that table and be like, "Hey, it's me, the character from Dragon Age Origins. I'm still around." And you'd be like, "Yeah, the video game acknowledged my choices and consequences." It's
it did the
2014
thing
and
that was
that hasn't
expected
become
of
a
it.
joke
Yeah.
yet. Although it was kind of a joke. But there's at least an acknowledgement, right?
Yeah.
And I also feel like that game does a pretty good job of not making your choices feel like they amounted to nothing. Whereas this game since it takes place in a completely different part of the world, only 3 of your choices matter. So the first choice is who the Inquisitor romanced.
Yep.
Which means, if they have them romance Solus, you can get some good toxic relationship shit in there. In the third act. The second choice is from Trespasser, and it is: did you choose to disband the Inquisition, or did you choose to hand them over to the Chantry? And then the third choice is: did you vow to stop Solus from doing his stuff, or did you vow to kill him? Basically, did the Inquisitor want to save him from himself or kill him?
And those are the only choices that matter.
Which, and to be clear, characters from previous games show up. Morrigan is in this game.
Yeah, she is.
And you can ask her about like deep lore shit, and there's actually a surprising amount of like actual lore reveals. By the way, we're just gonna spoil this game. Just so
Yeah,
you
why
know,
not?
we're gonna spoil a game that came out last year. So just a heads up if you want to play this. But yeah, Morrigan's here. You ask her like genuinely stuff that has been like deep background lore and shit like that, and spoilers, a lot of the explanations for why Dragon Age setting is the way it is the elven gods did it.
Do you
The
ask
elven gods
her
did it.
what's up? Where do you ask her where her kid is, or do they not
No,
want to
no,
acknowledge
you
that
can't.
choice?
You can't ask her that.
Oh, okay.
You can't ask
Because
her.
then they have to acknowledge that choice.
Her kid
Yeah,
is
you can't
in
ask her anything
Inquisition.
about
That
what
said,
happened in the past 3 games.
her kid is
It's
in
like, hey,
Inquisition.
Morgan, where is the Grey Warden? You know where he is.
Yeah.
Where is he?
Where is he? Or she?
Or she? Yeah.
Yeah. In Inquisition, you could kill off Hawk if you wanted to make Varric sad.
Yeah, there's weird shit you can do in Inquisition, which, again, the consequence is that game gave you way too much to do,
Yeah.
but you could do stuff. And
Yeah.
that was cool. In
Whereas
this game,
and so this game's big choices, the big choices that this game has, once again, you can see the service game from a mile away, and it's you have a choice at the end of the first act, and it's basically there are 2 dragons attacking 2 cities. Which one do you try to help? Do you want to help what's the Tevinter capital called? Mythandris?
Yeah, Mythandris, and
Something
you go to Docktown.
something like that.
Area.
Or do you save Treviso, which is Spaintaly?
I mean, Treviso has coffee. So
look,
of course you save Treviso.
We've spent so much of this franchise framing to the Tevinter Empire a specific way.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought this choice is insulting. Unless you want to be an asshole for the sake of being an asshole, this is not a choice.
I saved
Tevinter
Treviso.
has blood mages. They could just go deal with the dragon themselves.
Yeah. But the way Nave frames it is like, oh, the Venatori are going to use this as an excuse to seize power. Which, whatever. That's their hand wave. Yeah, we they really do flatten the Tevinter Empire, because in previous games the Tevinter is basically the Byzantines, where they're this
They're off over
decaying
there.
former power who still have slavery and still and have a bunch of fucked up blood mages, but because of corruption and because of incompetence and because of the Kunari, they have lost most of their power and they're just kind of sitting there in the corner being shitty. But they don't really delve into the mageocracy part in this game, other than, no one gives. It's very funny that no one gives a shit about your party members being mages. All of that shit, it's not an interesting conflict anymore. The part where mages are technically demon conduits, because it's apparently in the northern part of the world,
not a big deal.
Nope, not a big deal.
Yeah,
it turns
Even
out
though we spent
in
2
Northern
to 3
Thetis,
games where it was a big deal.
So here's my headcanon explanation. Here's my headcanon explanation, and I want you to tell me if this sounds fun or not. Is basically because Northern Thetis, it sounds like the Chantry has way less influence up there.
It's also a different Chantry.
Yeah, and it's also they're the Orthodox, basically. The Chantry in Tevinter is its own thing. But basically, because the Templars have no power up there, it turns out that people are way less likely to be fucked up, freaky blood mages if you aren't putting down a structure of repression to put the fear of God into them.
Sure.
So that is my headcanon. It might actually also be their explanation, but no one gives a shit that there's a country full of necromancers.
Yeah, man. In Northern Thetis, you just fuck a demon and no one cares.
Yeah. No, demons rampage through the city every other week, and it's the cops fucking suck about dealing with it. Which I just think it's very funny that things that were considered, big deal stakes are now just casually tossed aside. But that's my headcanon.
This is the least, I mean, until we get to a certain point, this is the least used the Darkspawn have been in a Dragon Age game.
Yeah. Well, they're basically just extra mooks.
They're extra mooks. Whereas in the previous games, they've actually been dominant villains in at least a chapter and an act.
Yeah.
I mean, even Corpheus reframed it around the Darkspawn.
They are a persistent problem.
Yeah. And
whereas here, nah. They're just, hey, we have these enemies that you guys remember from the old games if you played the old games.
Also, if you're a Grey Warden, you have a damage bonus against them. And I actually do like how they frame the Grey Wardens in this game, where basically the Grey Wardens, when there's not a blight going on, the Grey Wardens are just in maintenance mode. But because your commander guy is just I don't believe shit from you because I'm a serious guy. Yeah. But yeah, it's the most they've done with that faction since Origins, or I guess the DLC of 2 had a lot of stuff with Grey Wardens.
I mean, Inquisition had a lot to do with the Grey Wardens.
That's right. And Corypheus corrupts the Grey Wardens or something.
And that was kind of cool.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the characters now that we've successfully talked about how we feel about the world building, because it turns out I still had more feelings about Dragon Age's world building than I thought I did.
So are we talking about
so most
companions?
Yes.
Or just characters? Okay.
All right, look. So I bet if you saw the back end analytics, most people gave Harding the sick face scar.
Yeah.
So that's I guess we start. I guess we start with Harding.
Harding, yeah.
Harding is your scout.
She gets dwarf magic, and that's her entire personality.
Yeah, because dwarfs.
She
can't
made her
use
appearance. She's one of the characters that it was a part of your initial party in Veilguard. she doesn't need to be recruited. She just is going to be with you no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like the
Um,
first party member.
Yeah. So, yeah, Harding's personality is, yeah, Rook, I want to find out stuff. Uh, there's Nave,
There's
who
Nev
is
Gallus.
Nave.
Nev Gallus.
Yes, she is.
Your
She's
mage.
from. Yeah, she's British. She's from the Tevinter.
And she's
She's
constantly serving.
yes, exactly. Yeah, she's like hard nosed mage lady. I would say.
Oiled
She
because
she has a
they're
motif
Dwar.
of using ice spells at the
Yeah,
start, but you can
she
spec her in different ways to
she
where
has
she's not always
yeah,
using
she
ice.
has ice
I
magic.
I found Harding as a rogue never did the fucking things that a rogue are expected to do in combat because the AI is not very good. At the very least, Neve would pop an AOE spell when I needed it
Yeah.
from
Nev
time to
Gallus.
time.
I mean, I just assumed my companions would never use their abilities unless I made them.
It's a real problem with Harding because you're
Yeah.
supposed to sneak around the back and do crit damage as a rogue.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason why I built you to do that. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And you get a
And
better
then
rogue later,
yeah, but
shortly.
then yeah, then you recruit
Balara?
basically
Lara.
yeah,
The
Balara, who
Manic
is
Pixie Elf.
Manic Pixie Elf. She is quirky and very clearly was written to be like, oh, this is a character with ADHD. And you could
Yeah.
tell because she never shuts up. Just like me when I took my meds.
You can romance her though.
You can romance everyone.
You can
I know.
romance everyone. I
Um,
mean, it again. The romance is not as good as it is in Saints Row 4, but what is?
she's
Yeah.
a veil jumper rogue, which means she gets to use fade magic to deal
Yeah,
damage.
she has a magic bow and uh yeah, she does. I would say she's a little more focused on slowing down enemies, but honestly, like your party members are pretty interchangeable
Well,
between the classes.
my problem with the party members is they very often don't do the things that are the cool things I just
They
unlock
don't
on your
they
tech
don't do
tree.
damage.
They don't do you. I gave you a new spell. Please use
No,
it.
no, Chris, you have to pause and use the spell.
Please use the fucking thing that I
They
gave
they
you.
will not do it on their own. You need
I
to make them
understand,
do
but
it.
I'm just saying, like, if the whole point of this game was to make it an action game, like with action combat stuff, the the AI should be doing the stuff for
Yeah,
people that are like you built the game as God of War 2018.
yeah,
And yet I have to go back and micromanage these characters because the AI is not actually popping the shit off that I need them to pop off. So it's like weirdly fiddly and annoying in that regard. But moving on after Balara, and here is the point. Another reason why you shouldn't build a rogue. You get another rogue,
yeah.
Lucanus.
Yeah. Lucanus, who is
Lucanus, who is Spanish Ezio possessed by a demon.
yeah,
Yep.
and weirdly enough does not actually have very much angst despite being possessed by a demon. He's just like, I love coffee.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, he actually deals with it pretty well.
Yeah, he's extremely Spanish. Just the most Spanish man. And yes, he likes coffee and he likes stabbing.
he's a mage killer.
Yes, I'm a mage killer.
But he's totally fine with you
The
being in a
set
party of
piece where
mages.
you rescue him is actually pretty cool because
Yep.
it's like an underwater venatory
Sea of
prison.
Blood. One of the
Yeah.
better, I would say, mission sequences, period.
Yeah, like the undersea prison. Then
Also a bottom for some reason. But anyway, go on.
yeah, and so yeah, you get Balara, you get Lucanus, you get
Davrin was the next one for
you
me.
get Davrin, who is a Grey Warden. I would say he's kind of a doofus meathead. He's like
Yeah, but
serious and he's like
got that Griffin companion.
yeah, and
which
he's trying to be a dad to a griffin, and he's just like, yeah, I like killing darkspawn. And I'm like,
Okay,
hell
well,
yeah, my fellow Grey Warden. I also enjoy killing Darkspawn.
but he's pretty a bog standard warrior.
Yeah, yeah. I would say none of these characters are like actively grading in the way that Andromeda's cast are. There is no Korra or PB in this game.
But
I
also,
would
no,
say
like,
there's not
for
even a
them
Jal
standout
in this
character.
game.
There's no
wow,
standout character,
is
though.
there
No.
Liam in this game?
Thank God, no.
So
No.
Andromeda's cast is memorable because they suck.
Because they're all pieces of shit. Whereas
Wow.
everyone in this game is like vaguely agreeable and nice.
And despite the
And
fact that there are characters from different backgrounds where there should be conflicts within your party, there isn't.
it's all waved away.
Yeah, like Lucanus starts out saying, "I'm the mage killer," and even if you're a mage and you already have a mage in your party,
Or
nothing
or
comes
you
of
have people
it.
being like, should we worry about this guy being possessed by a demon? And then your only answers are like, it's fine. Or he seems to be doing okay.
And like him and Nev Gallus have some, I guess, sniping back and forth when they're in your party, and that's about it.
But compared to the previous games, where listen, for all of its flaws, Dragon Age 2 has some very good inter-party dynamics, right?
Oh yeah.
Where you're like, Fenris and Anders fucking hate each other, but they hate Meryl more.
Yep.
Stuff
Wait,
like that.
you know what? I take it back. So we have two more characters to talk about. We have Tosh,
yes,
who is the dragon
hunter, warrior, dragon slayer, and Tosh. Yeah,
is
Tosh's
also non-binary.
So Tosh's their side story is about like discovering that they are non-binary and also getting rid of some mommy issues.
Yep.
And that this is where I'd say, this comes from a good place. It comes from an earnest place. And once again, I'm a cishet man, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. But it feels a little bit clunky. But Tosh's whole thing is they are like kind of a grump and kind of just like, I want to punch things. Yeah, I'm pretty good at this, Rook. Kind of curt, but never more than slightly rude, because once again, everyone in this game is kind of at least vaguely agreeable at all times, regardless of what you say.
But then the best character in the game,
the best character is
by a landslide, Emmerich, and his skeleton companion Manfred.
Yeah,
Emmerich's like I would actually say I think Emmerich is a great character.
I would say Emmerich is the closest this game has to a standout party. I mean, you can get him or Tosh in any order, but
okay.
You get them after the dragons attack the cities. So basically, you get them in Act 2.
And
Emmerich
15, 20
is
hours at that point
a necromancer.
15. He's a necromancer professor man from Navarra, who is he looks like Vincent Price, and he is just super stoked to talk to you about souls and dead and the Fade, and like, why yes, I do enjoy raising skeletons to work on all these projects. Good question, sir. Like, he is supportive Professor Man who does not understand why everyone else is freaking out about the skeletons he has following him. And in a better game,
necromancer is always a good character type.
Yeah, the affable, kind necromancer who just like, nah, man, I do death magic because it's cool and also science. Like, I've been obsessed with this character type for a long time. So to see it actually done, I would say pretty well, is cool. And some of the player choices with Emmerich are also pretty cool.
Yeah. And his arc is pretty good because it's about him like learning to accept his inevitable demise, even though necromancy.
Well, Yeah, it's also conditional, but you can turn him
Yeah.
into a lich.
Yeah.
Spoilers, but
So
also not spoilers.
yeah, he's a fun character. I and yeah, I'd say he's probably the best of the cast. But in general, everyone it feels a little bit like they took some more Mass Effect style cues with the character dynamics, where the characters aren't really disagreeing with each other as much, and everyone's just on board with your entire thing. Whereas in Dragon Age, you could very much get characters to leave if you were a dick to them, or poured a vial of blood into the ashes of Mary Jesus, for example. But
So
I don't. They're not hateable.
it's less complex than they've done
No.
before, and it's all affable. They're super friends almost.
Everyone has a traumatic backstory they need to work through over the course of their side quests.
It's Mass Effect 2 because they're also all like we're gonna go around and recruit the best of the best in the galaxy
Yeah, yeah,
for the suicide mission.
and they're all your homies.
So this was a weird thing to read about. Is this game has a suicide mission ripped almost directly from Mass Effect 2,
Mm-hmm.
where you have a series of I didn't get up to this point, but I looked it up. You have a series of choices similar to the suicide missions, where depending on your alignment with these characters, they are either excellent or not qualified to deal with these scenarios. And if you put them in suboptimal scenarios, they will die.
Yeah.
And it culminates with this big, badass boss battle, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So,
And, and
yeah.
stuff
So
happens.
basically, yeah, the main plot, because the main plot for most of it is just you recruiting these people and being told like, these elven gods are up to no good. They're starting trouble in your neighborhood. Uh, but eventually they attack the Grey Wardens at Weishaupt. And that's kind of the end of Act 2. Is there's a big set piece there. And then in Act 3, it's like, oh no, they made a new dagger to open the Fade. We gotta stop them and do a suicide mission. And so, you cash in all your chips with all of the groups you've hung out with
Or you refer
over.
to a guide.
Yeah. Or refer to a guide, and you get everyone there. And then I should mention you wound one of the elven gods and make him mortal and able to be killed. And Solus uses this opportunity to betray you and stab you in the back and basically lock you in the Fade until you get out. 5 minutes later, basically. And so you go to the island, you stop the elven gods, and then Solus is like, surprise, bitches! I'm still the main antagonist all along! I'm gonna do the thing I was gonna do at the beginning of the game, but this time I'm gonna win! And I should say, over the course of the game, you have been talking to Solus in basically the Shadow Realm, and you can poke and prod at him, and it's some of the better back and forth dialogue in the game.
Yeah, it's some better writing the game or the
I
sequences.
like. I would say the general tone of Rook. Like, Rook is not a blank slate character. Rook
No.
is a fucking doofus, and I kind of love that. I love how much all of your responses are just like, "Yeah, let's do it." Like, Rook might as well be saying, "We got this," but less annoying. Like, you're just a fucking goober who accidentally lucked into fighting the greatest evil facing the world.
Again, just some dumbass Varric found.
Yeah, just some dumbass who Varric found. And then spoiler, Solus is like, by the way, I used blood magic to trick you into thinking Varric was still alive. He's been dead this entire time, bitch. And then depending on,
It
previous
sucks.
dialogue.
I want to just say that, like, basically having Varric be dead again, one of the most
I mean,
beloved
either kill him or
characters
don't
in.
kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like kill him or don't kill him.
Don't do the fake out. but that explains why you can't just talk to Varric in the what's it fucking called, the lighthouse?
The lighthouse, the Normandy.
Yeah, the Normandy.
There's always a Normandy. There's always a lighthouse.
Yeah, but so basically at the end, you either kill Solus and force him to basically close the veil again, or you can talk him into sacrificing himself if you were, made the correct dialogue choices. I think the stuff with him is pretty good, but it's a weird turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you get that true ending where you talk him into it, if you get that ending, there is a post-credits tease that the devs knew they were probably never going to resolve. And it refers to another, let's say, deep lore bit, which suggests that the executors, who are kind of the Dragon Age Illuminati, were behind some of the actions of the last 3 games. Like, I haven't looked into the codex for that shit, but it's a really weird post-credit sequel tease. And also I think I think it is bad writing when you say, actually, the events of the past stories were being manipulated behind the scenes this entire time. I think that's lame. They shouldn't do that. But I still do want to go back and finish this game, because what I've seen of that last active story, it seems like it has a stronger end game than a lot of BioWare stuff, both in terms of set pieces and in terms of lore payoff. But I'm still thinking about something Jeff said. You remember that guy Jeff? He used to be on this podcast.
May he rest in peace.
R.I.P. Jeff. He said you are basically speed running from plot point to plot point instead of just kind of enjoying this world and these characters. And it really does feel like the stakes are so high and they are so apocalyptic that you don't really have time for anything other than the big plot.
So it's Mass Effect 3, not Mass Effect
2. So it's Mass Effect 3 now.
So you have a Galactic Control mechanic where you need to play the multiplayer to unlock to increase the percentages. So get a better
here's the thing: the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer is still good.
That's the worst part. The multiplayer is good.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you didn't like the multiplayer.
No, that multiplayer is good. That's the worst part.
That was the good part of Mass Effect 3. It's terrible.
I still like some parts of Mass Effect 3. I think Mass Effect 3 has we need to wrap everything up syndrome problem, and I think this game has a similar problem where it just it either hand waves or wraps up most of the themes and plot threads that the last couple games were about, but they're never going to make another one.
It's dead.
It's over. This is the end. And
this is
it. We've seen worse ways to end a franchise on this podcast.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I keep thinking about. I brought this up in the Discord. I brought this up on your stream. When looked purely from the perspective of this game was a salvage job, it's a pretty good salvage job. It functions. It plays pretty well for what it attempted to be, or for what it is, and it has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
It is technically proficient. It runs pretty well.
It
does not.
You play it.
And I think credit should be given to the people who got this game off the finish line, because this game. Hey, surprise! This game. I'm not going to say it bombed, but it only sold 1.5 million copies, which, for comparison, only. which for comparison, Dragon Age Inquisition sold like fucking what, 15 million?
But also, that was 10 years earlier, and Dragon's Inquisition was one of 2 AAA games that year that was any good.
Yeah. Thanks, 2014. Yeah, how many let's see.
Again, it had been 10 years.
Yes. So it turns out, hey, maybe 10 years. Yes, this game has sold over 12 million units. Inquisition sold over 12 million. Whereas this game, yeah, sold 1.5.
Yeah, that's the highlight effect of coming out at the right time and place for everyone to buy it.
Yeah, for comparison, Clair Obscur has already sold like 3 million. And
So,
that game
so,
came out. Yeah.
so everyone played
Everything since
Inquisition.
Origin has had some really bad luck in terms of timing because
I mean,
Origin
Inquisition
comes
had
out
great timing.
huge. 2 comes out, essentially gets overshadowed by even, Mass Effect at that time. Well, Inquisition comes out and had okay timing, and then Witcher comes out and
Well, yeah, Inquisition was
shadows it already.
retroactively, like, I think part of why this game didn't hit as hard despite Inquisition winning a shitload of Game of the Year awards and selling very well is The Witcher 3 came out and kind of reminded people that their standards could be higher.
Mm-hmm.
And
because I mean 2015 was when that generation really kicked off. Like 2014 was a weird malaise year for games. And then everything just got better immediately in 2015 and standards rose. And I mean
and that's kind of how I feel about this game is if this game had come out in, let's say, 2019.
2019, yeah.
Instead of Anthem, I think it would have been received and sold a lot better. I'm not even saying like Project Joplin, which sounds like a game I would much rather play. I'm talking about if this game, as it is, came out in 2019, I think people would have been a lot kinder to it.
By far. Absolutely. I mean, yes, if this game had come out before Baldur's Gate 3,
yeah,
it would have hit better.
Oh man, if this game had come out, yeah, like even Avowed is like for as much as
Avowed's a way better game.
For as much as Avowed kind of hurts my heart in that it's not Pillars 3, I think Avowed still has a very strong through line in terms of like they understand what makes that setting interesting. They are following up on the plot threads from the last game in ways that aren't intimidating for new players. I think Avowed's pretty good, except for the part where there's too much of it and the combat's boring once you get good. But it's just this game makes me feel too many complicated feelings.
You don't want to hate it too much because the hell that it took that these developers went through hell to make this game, right?
And
developers go through hell to make most games.
But in this case, it feels bad to really rattle a saber too strongly because this was hell. This was development hell. This is going to be in the book of development hell. It's no Duke Nukem Forever or Beyond Good and Evil 2, but holy shit, dude, this was not an easy development cycle.
When compared to the previous 2 BioWare games, which were also development hell, this game manages to come out, make a statement, and end mostly on its own terms.
It is able to exist.
It is able to exist without being a colossal embarrassment.
Like, what was the number one complaint is that it didn't feel like a Dragon Age game, which I feel like there is truth to saying that this is not a
Mass Effect game.
It feels like a Mass Effect game. It's okay to say that you don't like the action gameplay and that it feels just not your cup of tea. That's totally fine. Yeah. But it's a functional product. It has a lot of the same story beats. It has characters that feel like facsimiles, but there is earnestness to the writing. that I don't want to be super dismissive of, even if I feel like it's only ever scratching the surface and not really going even skin deep with them. But yeah, as in comparison to previous games that BioWare released, it's not a smoldering fucking tire fire. And looking at a game coming out this year, Braden, that is
Mm-hmm.
also a very clear salvage job.
Mm-hmm.
This game is so much better than that other thing.
Oh boy, I'm so excited to play Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. If you're listening to this podcast after that game has come out and it's secretly good, ignore everything we said. However, I am willing to put down a prediction on audio that I bet Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is going to be kind of a tire fire.
Like
Maybe
a
the writing will
disaster.
be okay, but boy, everything I've seen of that game looks like ass.
But yeah, this is that game looks that game is a true salvage job. The Chinese room put their own spin on things, got a probably unworkable prototype and had to fill in gaps as best as they could.
Yeah, or did they just
And
have to start from scratch? Who knows?
and they and then Paradox even walked back all of the DLC that they wanted to do for that game. So
I
who the
have
fuck
low
knows what that game's
confidence
gonna be?
in most games that are published by Paradox, especially within the first year of their release. Okay. Did you know that the most recent Crusader Kings 3 DLC broke that game
Mm-hmm.
Oh
and they had
no,
to very hastily issue a bunch of hot fixes to keep it from literally making the game unplayable?
that's a bad time.
But we're not
But
we're not talking about Paradox here. We're talking about
Anyways,
BioWare.
I was
so
gonna say for Veilguard, the biggest feeling the vibe that I got from it is that this is the most expensive mid-budget action RPG ever made.
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
I get that comparison.
yeah. So is it time to rank this game?
Yeah, let's rank it. It if this is BioWare's last game, it's at least not Anthem. At least they went out on something that Anthem is a skeleton of a game. It is a promise
Yeah.
of a video game.
I'm gonna boot it up before they bring down the servers, Braden. Mark
And
my
killed
words.
Anthem.
will not exist soon.
We killed Anthem and we outlived the Confederacy. Fuck you. Let's rank. So, you can find the list at bit.ly/OTDE rank. The first 3 games, the top 3 are Might and Magic 6: The Mandate of Heaven, Suikoden, the first, and Xenosaga, the first. The bottom 3 are Unlimited Saga at 84, Hoshiwo Mirohito at 85, and Descent to Undermountain at 86. Where does this compare?
All right,
Start with the line of mediocrity.
let's just get down
really?
to it. Is this better or worse than Dragon Age 2?
Oh, okay.
I would
All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I would
Get the knife
rather
out.
I
Get the
personally,
knife out.
I would much rather play Dragon Age 2.
This game plays better than Dragon Age 2 and is but
Dragon Age 2 has characters that kind of stuck
Yeah.
around with you and
You-
has
way more
I would
interest.
say a better heart.
there is a scrappy heart to Dragon Age 2
Two.
because that entire game feels like a first draft, whereas this game is like 18 drafts.
Like Dragon Age 2 has something going on. It's a way more interesting game than Veilguard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that this goes below Dragon Age 2 then.
Okay.
So is this better or worse than Shin Megami Tensei if? Actually, you know what? I think we go down more than a couple of steps. What's the next logical pairing?
What's the next logical pairing?
Okay, is this game better or worse than Deus Ex: The Conspiracy?
I would rather play this game than the PS2 version of Deus Ex.
Okay. Is this better or worse than Risen, Braden?
I would rather play this than Risen.
Yeah.
Is this game better or worse than Biomotor Unitron? If you say yes, I'm coming for you.
This is better than Biomotor Unitron. Fight
How
me.
dare you?
Fight me,
I'll
bitch.
fight you.
Fight me right now, IRL.
I'll go cross country and fight you.
I've seen you play video games. I know your reflexes aren't that good.
I was actually going to say I think the next logical point. I think it's better than Biomotor Unitron. I would even be willing to say that I think it's better than Legend of Legaia.
Okay, yeah.
This game is not better than Dragon Quest 1.
But do you think it's better than Digital Devil Monogatari?
I would rather play this than Megami Tensei 1.
Okay, so you want to put it
I would put
Dragon
this
Quest
at 31.
You want to put it below Dragon Quest 1 but above Digital Devil.
I mean, I would put this above I would put this above Legend of Dragoon, but I have a particular distaste for that game.
Well, okay. How about this? I refuse to put it above Fallout 3.
Okay.
What do you say, Borg? Where's your line here?
Oh, I mean, my line was Biomotor Unitron, and we blew past that. So, as low as y'all can get it.
Okay. I would put this below Dragon Quest 1 or above Legend of Dragoon.
Okay, Borg, what is the argument for putting this game below Dragon Quest 1? Other than
Dragon Quest 1 is a classic. It's important. It's more fun than this game.
It's like 9 hours.
It's like 9 hours.
I should say this game's about 30 if you ignore most of the dumb side quests.
Dragon Quest 1 does not have dumb side quests.
No. Yeah, there's like one somewhat optional thing where you can save the princess.
Yeah.
And you see Saber, you have to walk back to the castle with her, and that's pretty funny.
All right. Let's put this at 31 then.
Okay.
This is our new number 31, Dragon Age The Veilguard. And the good news is, I think we don't have to cover any more BioWare games on this channel, on this podcast.
People have asked us if we would play Baldur's Gate, and in theory, in a better world, in a better universe, in a better timeline, we probably would play Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
but we played one of the fan modules for Neverwinter Nights.
I would rather play a fan module for Neverwinter Nights.
I would rather goof around with fan modules and persistent world servers in Neverwinter Nights. I think that would be an interesting episode. Because the base campaigns for Neverwinter Nights are... The original campaign for Neverwinter Nights is one of the most boring things BioWare has ever made. Shadows of Undrentide and Hordes of the Underdark are much better in that sense. But Neverwinter Nights has a lot of weird stuff that fans have made over the last 20-something years that I think we could probably get something out of.
Also, it's really sluggish.
Wait, y'all have never covered an Obsidian game.
Wait, what? Have we not?
Have we never covered an Obsidian game?
Well, shit. Now I gotta change my game pick.
To KOTOR 2, let's go!
No.
God. All right, Alpha Protocol.
No.
Yeah, Alpha Protocol.
Oh, shit. I actually need to change my game pick. Why don't you guys talk about what our...
I'll play Mask of the Betrayer again. Fuck you.
Yeah, Neverwinter Nights 2. Let's do it. Let's do Fallout New Vegas. A niche cult game.
A niche cult classic that everyone on the internet
Did people really
collectively
not like that
decided they liked
remake of Neverwinter Nights 2? Is that enhanced remake actually
So,
questionable or bad?
The remaster, that remaster of Neverwinter Nights 2 is apparently a little bit of a mess right now,
Mm.
much like the original game.
But also, Avowed is right there. We just play Avowed.
Yeah.
Ah.
Play 2 recent action-y console video games and one in a row.
Why did the main podcast have to play Pillars of Eternity? That would be
I mean,
such a good
Because
pick
they
for
wanted to
us.
steal my fire.
I mean, we can just do Pillars of Eternity 2.
Why don't we just play Tyranny?
We can play, yeah, we can play
I'd play
Tyranny.
Tyranny.
Yeah, I play Tyranny.
All right. That's my pick. We'll play
Okay.
Tyranny. I didn't realize it was gonna either be Oath of Felghana or Live a Live, but I didn't realize we've literally never played an Obsidian game.
Or even
we're playing
ranked
Tyranny.
one that the main pod has played.
We're playing Tyranny. Fuck it.
Okay, fuck it. We're playing Tyranny. Fuck
what
you,
are we
that's-
doing for October?
But also for October, we're gonna do a spooky show.
Do we
we're
want to
gonna
say
do a
what the
spooky
spooks are?
Yeah. So
Be a surprise though. Should be a jump scare episode where we jump.
I
scare
mean,
you
there are
with
only
the
so
group.
many horror RPGs.
It's not Kudelka, unfortunately, dear
It's
listener.
not Kudelka, so it's the other one.
As much as I tried, dear listener, it's not Kudelka.
We're playing Sweet Home next.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Sweet Home for the Famicom. It inspired Resident Evil.
It's a cool game. It really is.
It's also the template that every Japanese horror RPG Maker game from the late 90s, early aughts was based on.
The one thing about Sweet Home,
you wouldn't get Corpse Party without Sweet Home.
The one thing about Sweet Home that I still maintain is bullshit. Is Capcom always likes to play up the fact that if it weren't for Sweet Home, we wouldn't have made Resident Evil. This was so foundational to Resident Evil, which I call bullshit. And the reason why I call bullshit is because you absolutely borrowed from an American-made horror game to make Resident Evil
called Alone in the Dark.
I thought
you
it was
can
a French
admit
game.
that you fucking were inspired by Alone in the Dark. I understand that the Sweet Home team is basically a 1-for-1 for Resident Evil, but Alone in the Dark absolutely is what inspired that version of Resident Evil.
Also, that's a French game. Don't call it American. Don't put that evil on
Whatever.
us.
Yeah. Just like fucking like Capcom, you're cowards. Just admit that you were inspired by Alone in the Dark for Resident Evil 96.
I think they've said that, but also like it was literally, I think it literally started with the producer at Capcom being like, "Hey, what if we made like a new Sweet Home?" And then they were like, "What if we made it like Alone in the Dark, but good?" Anyway, look forward to that.
It was spooky and scary.
Yeah, we got spooky and scary. We got fascism and
there's never been an official translation of Sweet Home, so you're gonna have, for those that want to join us, there are multiple good fan translations. Gaijin Entertainment is probably your best bet.
Maybe we'll watch the movie.
We should watch the movie. We should watch the movie.
Yeah,
we should watch the movie. You're right. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, listening, and subscribing. Thank you, Chris, Zombie Pie Redacted. Where can people find you?
People can find me at twitch.tv/zombiepie.
Thank you for joining me, Adam Borgmaster Redacted.
No, thank you. And I can be found at twitch.tv/5th Generation Gaming or 5th Generation or 5thGenGaming.blog, where you can read my reviews of me trying to review every 32-bit console game in release order, which is it's
soul crushing. You hate all of them.
They're all bad.
They're all bad.
Games are bad.
Games are bad, but did you know that there's also no such thing as cheating in a single player game?
Braden Arbitrary Water Redacted, where people find you on the interweb.
You can find me on twitch.tv/arbitrarywater. I sometimes write things. Maybe our writing things will show up on the Deep Listens Patreon feed. Let us know if you'd like to read our stuff on the Patreon feed. No such thing as cheating in a single player game. Bye!